Hi, I'm Holly from the Word Association. We run free writing courses for underrepresented and marginalised groups that result in published anthologies of work and book launches, where participants can perform their own work. In this video, I'll be talking about getting started, or approaching the blank page. In these videos, I'll suggest some exercising or writing prompts, with the idea being that you pause the video at that point and complete each exercise in your own time before resuming the video. This means you can work completely at your own pace. For anyone interested in working with us or joining one of our courses, these videos will give you a flavour of what we do. We also hope they'll be useful resources for our current participants. We are very grateful to the Arts Council England for their support and generosity in funding this project. It's not uncommon for people to see the blank page as a terrifying void where only your best work is fit to lie. The sooner you can lose the idea, the better. There's absolutely nothing wrong with throwing down rough ideas and shaping them later. In fact, it's to be encouraged. The first step of writing anything is almost like digging for clay. It should be messy and frantic and unrefined. The art comes in later. The editing, the craft, adding the finer details and nuances. The first step is all about taking a deep breath and plunging in. So I want you to stop seeing the blank page as something intimidating. Try to get your mind away from seeing it as a heavy silence or a void. It's an opportunity. Imagine it as a freshly made bed with white, crisp linen. Make it so warm and inviting that you can't wait to slip into it. See it as a sandbox, flawless and untouched, longing for you to make your mark. Shrug off your fears about grammar and spelling. They held you back at school. Don't for 1 second let them hold you back now. These elements can be ironed out later. What you have is rare and precious. It needs to be preserved in words. And that is your story, your honesty, your integrity. So the first step is getting all that raw energy in its pulsing form. We can train it later. Capture it while it's wild and untamed. We want that urgency. We want that honesty of emotion. So don't come to the blank page terrified, but don't come casually either. This is important. Not just for you, but for the people who will read and respond to your work. Give yourself the time and permission to focus on your writing and engage fully. So here are some exercises to put all of this into practice. You might like to pause the film after each prompt and give yourself a couple of minutes to complete it. Work at your own pace and rejoin me when you're ready. So first off, we're going to try some free writing. This is basically the process of writing whatever comes into your head, without thinking or caring what comes out. As long as your pen doesn't stop moving, you can write about literally anything at all. So take a blank page, pick up a pen, and write solidly for a times 2 minutes, or 5 if you're a hardened writer. Then come back and join me. So now you're going to read back over what you've written. Underline or highlight anything that jumps out that's interesting to you. Could be individual words or even full phrases. Now take one of those lines, or bundle of words that can be formed into a line, and craft them into a 4-line poem that rhymes. The line you've selected can be placed anywhere within your poem. Now take this poem and rewrite it so the meaning is the same, but the lines don't rhyme anymore. But try to keep it to 4 lines. So which version do you prefer? Did you find rhyming easier as it gave you a hint to the next word and provided some structure? Or did you find it limiting? Do you think rhyming poems are more accessible? Or do you think without rhymes you can be more nuanced? These are all good questions to consider as your writing practice grows. Okay, so now you've loosened up, we're going to move on to something a little more specific. I want you to think of a time in your life when you had a very difficult conversation with someone. So it could be about coming out, a medical diagnosis, breaking news of a bereavement, or even a breakup. Write about what you could see at the time, what you were wearing, any tastes or smells. Capture the whole environment, but without actually referring to the conversation that was had or the words that were used. Now you've finished your piece. Think back over the actual conversation and take a line from it to use as a title and another to use as the ending phrase of the piece. So for this exercise, I want you to think of something that you either love or loathe to eat. Also think back to a strong emotion that you've recently experienced. Have you got both of these things? Don't overthink it, just write down the first things that come into your head. Now imagine yourself eating that food while feeling that intense emotion. Don't describe your feelings, describe the colours, the taste, the texture, the sensations of this meal in a way that reflects that chosen emotion. Now, for this exercise, you can imagine that you're a character in a novel. Write a short pen portrait that describes you in the third person. Pack your piece with a lot of description that illustrates the type of person you are without actually spelling it out. For instance, you had the first strands of silver in her hair and her eyes creased into soft crow's feet as she smiled, is much more visual than saying she was 37. So think about where you are. What are you wearing? What would you be doing? Are you drinking anything? Pack your writing with imagery that really reflects who you are. Okay, so now you've got the bones of several pieces that could have a lot of potential. You might want to work on them further right now. You may choose to put them to one side, let the dust settle and return to them at a later stage. Before we finish, I want you to do one final thing. You're going to write a vow to yourself. This is a personal promise to yourself about committing to your writing practice and embracing creativity. Keep it short, succinct and to the point. Write it up nicely and put it somewhere where you'll see it every day. It's an important piece. So if you fancy doing another online session, we also have videos on an introduction to therapeutic writing, editing, performance, and building your writing practice. You can also keep up to date with our free courses, upcoming anthologies, and opportunities on our website and social media channels.